Just had to turn off the Pixies. A little bit of Pixies. Listening to that. Had a whole bunch of stuff I was listening to tonight. There's all sorts of music that was released on this date, October 1st, throughout history. How's everybody doing? I'm Randy Malloy. I never introduce myself. I just assume you know. And if you do, that's great. And if you don't, well, there you go. Remember, I was this guy. I was the man in the van. Right there. See, look. Me, the guy in the van. I was the co-star in a cameo with Stephen He. I'm even forgetting who it was. For Heinz Verified. Day Trippin'. That'll probably be the end of that. But we'll keep milking it as long as we can until I get something else. Because why not, right? I'll turn it off. Anyway, like. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Episode 123. October 1st. Rabbit, rabbit, rabbit. Welcome to Q4 of 2025. 250 days of craziness have gone in front of us. And we still have a few left in the year. What are you going to do? So I'm exhausted officially. I got up at 6 o'clock this morning. And went down to the radio station building to meet with the Columbus Fire Department's bomb squad. I met the 3 people that are doing it. I did not get video. The dogs, I'm not supposed to touch the dogs. So I was like, well, I talked to Phil. I did interview Phil a little bit. I have a video of the cars and the guys. But I was like, you know what? They seemed that they were a little reticent to be publicly sort of out there. But I did find out that the dogs mostly come from pilot dogs. They would be the repurposed, as they put it, repurposed. Pilot Dogs is a great organization here in Columbus. And they've expanded recently to do other things, helping with assistance with military vets that need animals and such. But when the dogs are trained, I guess is what it is, and they don't meet the standards for the blind pilot dogs because they're too hyper, or a lot of times they're too playful. They've already been trained and they're really good dogs, and they can be repurposed for other things because they have the right temperament. So a lot of the dogs for the bomber squad are the repurposed. They're a little more hyper. They're very sort of like excited and active and want to go do their job and work. They train for about 12 to 16 weeks before they meet the dogs separately, and then they meet the dogs and then train with them for another 6 to 8 weeks. And then they live with the dogs. The dogs become their sort of companion. They're with them every day. They take them home at night. They train with them every single day. Every day they go to a different location like they did with me today for about 90 minutes every single day. So what they did was they came in individually. Phil, who's sort of the head of the bomb squad, came in and they put some alerts in hidden locations and let the dogs come in on a leash, and they have them basically go through the building and alert when they find these things, these scented objects. And it's quite interesting. You know, it took them about 90 minutes, about 30 minutes each for each one of the dogs to go do their thing for their training. And yeah, you know, just part of doing my civic duty. I did not bring them. I got a rally coin. I got one of the little coins that says the Columbus Fire Department Bomb Squad and everything. It's very cool. You know, I really enjoyed doing it. We used to do it for the radio station when the station was there. You know, just sort of nice thing to do, and it's also helps keep people safe. So that was my civic duty today, helping the bomb squad, keeping everyone safe. So there you go. Now we get on to music. Oh, and then the auction guys came in today to start inventory all the stuff, which I will get the URL for the online stuff as soon as, if you want to buy anything, like, you know, there'll be just the things from like the railing to pieces of the stage and glassware and, you know, cooking stuff and whatever, man. It's just all the stuff at this point. Whatever's left. I just can't even deal anymore. It's just overwhelming. It has been for 18 months now, and I'm ready to move on with it. Sorry if you're not a big fan of development and tearing down buildings. I just can't anymore. It's just that much. Anyway, on to the music stuff. 1961, the Beach Boys recorded their single Surfin' USA, Surfin', on this day, October 1st, 1961. And it introduced a new style of music, surf rock. That's the style that was called surf rock. 1962, on this day, October 1st, Brian Epstein, manager of the Beatles, signs a revised contract allowing him to be the manager of the Beatles through 1977. Well, that didn't work out so well for anybody. Unfortunately, Brian Epstein died in 1967 and the Beatles broke up in 1970. So that contract was way past its expiration date for all parties involved. That happens. 1962, Tonight Show with Johnny Carson premiered. His musical guest on that night was Frankie Valli. He also had Joan Crawford and Mel Brooks as his first guests on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. Ha ha, that is correct, sir. His sidekick, Ed. 1967, Pink Floyd arrives in New York City to begin their first tour of North America and the United States. 1970, a riot in Milan, Italy breaks out for Rolling Stones tickets that go on sale this day, October 1st, 1970. 63 people arrested in the melee that broke out for the limited supply of tickets. I guess people really want to see the Stones back then. I mean, either that or I don't know what. Something was going on in Milan, Italy. That's a little crazy. 1977, see, jump it. We just go from 67 to 70 to 77. We're just all over the place. Okay, so remember, there's nothing chronological about any of this. I go from decade to decade. Sorry, but organizing it by year, sort of chronologically, would be way too time consuming, and I just don't want to do it. And I'm sure AI could figure it out, but I haven't mastered that yet. And actually, I have to go to a bunch of different sites to do this. So anyway, Sir Elton John, and this day in 1977, is awarded and honored by Madison Square Garden and the Madison Square Garden Hall of Fame as the first recipient of said honor. I didn't really look to see who else has been honored by it, but I figured probably Billy Joel, since he did residency there for like 15 years. He did one show a month for over a decade, if you didn't know that. So I'm assuming that he would be also in that sort of honorarium of guest appearances. I don't know, but that would make sense to me. 1982, Marvin Gaye released his last album, Midnight Love, with the single most rememberable song of Marvin Gaye's history, Sexual Healing. I mean, come on. We've all heard that song. At some point, you've had to have heard it. Again, unless you're the 13-year-old who's like, who's this old dude? And I don't know who Marvin Gaye is. Is he gay? No, Marvin Gaye wasn't gay. You crazy 13-year-old. That's how it works. So that's his name. 1982, The Night Fly. The debut solo album of Donald Fagen of Steely Dan is released on this day, October 1st. 2021, David Lee Roth officially announces his retirement from music. After doing a 5-year residency in Las Vegas, he announces that he will retire from music in February of 2022. I don't know if that worked out for him okay. I don't know. I didn't really follow up on David Lee Roth. I liked him when he was in Van Halen, until I guess he wasn't. Then it was Van Hagar. But I was more of a Van Halen fan because that was sort of my era. Just saying. Ringo Starr postpones 2 shows on this date in 2022. Ringo Starr and his all-star band due to illness. They did not say what type of illness, but for a band to cancel shows, they're usually ill. See, now we're going way backwards because now this is going to go to related things, entertainment. 1955, on this day, Jackie Gleason's The Honeymooners premieres. Bang zoom to the moon, Alice. Oh, Jackie Gleason. He also was in a bunch of movies as Buford T. Pusser, a cop chasing Burt Reynolds in whatever those movies were. I forget now. Hi, Todd. They all say they're going to retire, and then they do it 2 or 3 times. Right. I mean, that's how it works. You know, I didn't want to retire, and I'll have to keep doing this for 2 or 3 times. 1962, I Love Lucy premieres on this day with Lucille Ball and Ricky Ricardo. Lucy, you got some splaining to do. Mm-hmm. Lucille Ball was a pioneer for women in film and the industry. But she did sound like she smoked a pack of cigarettes. Lucille, give me another smoke. Lucy. 1968, on this October 1st day, George Romero's cult zombie classic is released in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Night of the Living Dead. Whew. And it sets a new standard for the horror zombie genre. Night of the Living Dead. What a movie. Love that. Spurred all sorts of stuff. Good zombie movies after that. Oddly enough, in 1974, director Tobe Hooper's hometown of Austin, Texas, premieres The Texas Chainsaw Massacre on this same day of Romero's release, just a decade or so later. How that works out. Also on this day, Disney World opens. 1971, Bay Lake, Florida. Now it's bigger, but Disney. I've been there once or twice. I've ridden rides there. 1992, October 1st, Cartoon Network premieres. Adult Swim. Yes, I'm a fan. I watch my cartoons. They have all sorts of good cartoons late at night. Drinky Crow was one of my favorites. I love Drinky Crow. It was just a ridiculously stupid show that didn't last very long, but it was just funny. You know, those 15 minutes, just be able to sit down, drop in anytime, coming back from work late at night, whatever, after a show, after work, whatever, just hit Cartoon Network and watch some stupid animated TV. One of my favorites, just mindless television. I guess that's what YouTube is for people now, mindless television. I'm not animated, though, I'm sorry. I'm kind of animated. I always knock shit over, but I see, I almost knocked that over. Did I turn us off? 2017, O.J. Simpson, the Juice, is released from prison after only serving just under 9 years of his 33-year sentence. Oh, O.J., he's gone now. He left us in 24. But that happens, you know. Also on this day, 2018, Bluey premieres on TV. Oh, that was a funny show. Bluey. On this day, test audience, and this is 1956. See, I'm just Elvis. Test audiences highly, overwhelmingly negative reactions to the death of Elvis Presley at the end of the film Love Me Tender. Such as studio executives call Elvis back on this day, October 1st, to reshoot the ending of the film so that the hero does not die but lives at the end. I mean, you know, hey, that's the way it works. We're really sad and not going to watch this movie. We want Elvis to live. Okay, we'll reshoot the entire end of the film and he'll live. Fair enough, right? You know, that's the power of the audience. On this day, Bob Dylan plays Carnegie Hall. And he introduces, this is 1965, by the way, Dylan introduces his new backup performers, which includes Robbie Robertson, Garth Hudson, Rick Danko, Richard Mowell, and Levon Helm, simply called The Band. Well, the band goes on to, perform their own songs without Dylan. The night they drove Old Dixie down from 1969, Up on Crippled Creek from 1969, and they filmed their last performance called The Last Waltz, which Martin Scorsese produced and directed and released in 1978. They were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1970 or 1994. So yeah, Dylan just, hey, here's my backup singers. They're just a band. Well, they became the band. Oh, Bob Dylan, what did you do? You launched the careers. 1966, Jimi Hendrix is live for the first time in the United Kingdom. He's jams with the band Cream. Less than a month later, he solos in 1966 on November 25th as the Jimi Hendrix Experience at the Bag o' Nails Club in London. On the sadder notes, on this same day, unfortunately, just a few years later, 4 years later, Jimi Hendrix is interned at Greenwood Cemetery in Seattle, Washington, on this date, October 1st, 1970. 1967, on October 1st, Mick Jagger's flat in London is burglarized. And he had both jewels and furs stolen that weren't his, but his girlfriend's at the time. In 1981, the Pretenders canceled the last leg of their North American tour due to drummer Martin Chambers injuring himself, cutting his tendons in his arm after apparently he punched his way through a window pane, causing substantial damage to him. He was the drummer, so yeah, you can't do that if you cut your tendons and such. Don't punch windows, man. I had a neighbor do that once. It was just ridiculous. There was so much blood. I was happy to be a medic, but not to have to look at that. Just insane. Just punched it through, and it just spraying arterial blood everywhere. It was just a mess. Just a mess. He's lucky he didn't lose his arm. Don't punch windows when you're drunk, kids. Just telling you. If you're going to punch something, punch a wall. Punch a tree. Don't punch glass. It punches back. Just telling you. Not from personal experiences. I've not punched windows, but I've seen it done. Not recommended. Just saying, not recommended. 1982, John Cougar, not Mellencamp at the time, just John Cougar, reaches dual number ones. He's number one in both album and single. Album is American Fool, single, Jack and Diane. Both reached number one on the same day in 1982. You gotta love that. Dual number ones. 1983, a David Bowie convention is held in the Cunard Hotel in London. And it is the largest collection of David Bowie merchandise ever assembled in one place. I didn't know that Bowie was like, Howdy Doody, that he has a ton of merchandise. I mean, I guess you could, but I mean, was there David Bowie lunchboxes, David Bowie phones? I mean, this is a bottle of real ketchup. This is a phone bottle of ketchup. They look really similar. But I mean, is there like a David Bowie phone? David Bowie wig from Ziggy Stardust? What? I didn't really look, but I was wondering like exactly what kind of memorabilia and merchandise is there for David Bowie besides albums and things. So I guess I'm going to have to try and figure that out. David Bowie bobbleheads, Ziggy Stardust bobbleheads. What? I don't know. It just seemed like, there'd have to be some just what? Because he wasn't a cartoon. It's not like he's, I didn't see him being like merchandise crazy. He's not like Disney. Anyway, 1988, John Bon Jovi scores his first number one album, New Jersey, in the UK. It's his fourth album. Now, this is following up on Slippery When Wet, where he had 5 top 10 singles out of that. And it was the most from a, now this, I had to like question this. It's the most from any hard rock album. Is John Bon Jovi hard rock? I guess so, right? I guess that is, you know. Anyway, the hard rock album, so he had both Bad Medicine and I'll Be There For You, both #1 singles. There was 3 other singles from that, but I didn't really care because they didn't make #1. They just made the top 10. But yeah, I guess I was like, wait, John Bon Jovi's hard rock? I guess so. I guess that's hard rock. I'm thinking hard rock is like Metallica, but I guess that's metal. So I guess that is hard rock. Bad Medicine. Okay. I'm just saying, I guess I have to think about the purpose of genres. If that's really that John Bon Jovi is hard rock. I mean, it is, apparently. Just saying. This one, questionable. 1994, Jocko, Mr. Michael Jackson, appears in London's Daily Mirror. Apparently, a picture shows up of Michael Jackson dressed as a Boy Scout with 5 young Boy Scouts. Shortly thereafter, officials from the Boy Scouts come out with a statement saying that Michael Jackson in no way, shape, or form has any association with the organization and does not condone the photograph of Michael Jackson dressed as a Boy Scout. Yeah, well, people probably should have figured it out by then. I'm assuming that Michael was a little different. Anywho, 2000, the band Midnight Oil sang at the closing of the Australian Olympics, and they performed their song Beds Are Burning. Dressed in all black, with the word sorry emblazoned on them. This was a theoretical olive branch held out to the local the Aborigines. Sorry, I'm having pronunciations there. The Aborigines, who were forced off their lands by the government. And then said government refused to apologize for their removal and subsequent persecution. Let's put it that way. Good old Midnight Oil. Very political band, if you didn't know that. I actually saw them perform, and we got to meet Midnight Oil. They played the fair one year at the Ohio State Fair. And we did a promotion with them. I have a T-shirt that has the radio station logo with Midnight Oil on the back. And yeah, they were interesting guys, but yeah, very politically motivated, very much activists. And if you listen to their music, you can hear that. I don't know if they toured a lot. I just know that obviously they're still performing if they performed in 2000. But yeah, I think when they played for us, it was like 94 maybe, something like that. 94, 95 maybe. Yeah. Anyway. 2007, Radiohead's website crashes due to overwhelming demand when they announced that their next album, In Rainbows, is only going to be available at radiohead.com. And that you can pay what you want for the digital download. Or you can go ahead and spend about $53 for a 2 CD, 2 vinyl with artwork and booklet mailer. But apparently it crashed all their shit because a lot of people wanted to get those albums for whatever they wanted to pay. It said, whatever you can pay. Rather admirable of them for that 2-disc box set. Now, I'm really going to keep an eye on the clock tonight, so I'm not going to have any misfires when it comes to the clock because I know that it happens right around now. When I'm not paying attention, I sort of look down, I look up, and then it clicks off and I look dumb. I also made sure that camera number 4 is working tonight. So see, if I have to go to camera 4, I can go to camera 4 as opposed to not going to camera 4. Right. because that happens too. Miscalculations. That's me pushing the dump button where it should sort of go to just something else. We're experiencing technical difficulties. Dun 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 dun. Something of that nature. In 2007, I truncated it, but the Spice Girls announced their upcoming tour and sold it out in 38 seconds at the O2 in London. That's pretty impressive to sell out the O2 in 38 seconds, even for the Spice Girls. I got to give them that. In 2015, a Beatles moment, a tape of the Beatles' 1962 performance in the Cavern Club is discovered after languishing in a desk drawer for over 50 years. The performance was found after someone was cleaning out a desk and discovered the tape, not knowing what I was, played it, and found that it was the Fab Four playing Some Other Guy. And it was recorded 4 weeks before their single debut release. It was also recorded for a TV show, but never released to the public. So this was an unreleased copy of the song that had never been out. Who knew? 50 years and it still worked. It must have been a good tape. It wasn't demagnetized or anything. Shit, I can't even keep up on a floppy drive and it's all damaged. Put in a couple times, it comes out, it's like, this is corrupted. I'm like, really? I just lost all that stuff? It sucks. 2019, under the heading of making way too much money, because I'll follow that with 2024, Ed Sheeran made a whopping $121 million. But not to be outdone, Coldplay raked in $127 million and U2 $130 million. See, I saw this coming, so the timer is going to go click, so here you go. See, this way it doesn't go to black, so you get to see that I'm still here, still working. See, my notes are right there, the camera's back on, I can hit the button and we're right back to it. The screen couldn't go to black because I actually saw the little thing in the corner tonight. On that note of someone's making way too much money, in 2024, Oasis news, 6 bosses of the controversial ticketing and promotions company for the tour were paid $20 million. Okay? And this was for the 2023 year of ticket sales and such. The directors got paid out of the firm, SJM, a whopping $16 million. And that was pre-taxed profits. Okay? This all happened, and fans protested about this whole thing, and why it was considered controversial is because originally advertised tickets for around $200 were selling for nearly $475 a piece. Almost times and a half of what they originally were priced at. Hence why the controversy of this ticketing and promotions company. I mean, that's a little bit of a gouge. I mean, you're talking about $36 million more than, that's a lot for 6 bosses to make. I mean, come on, man, really? Ticket platforms, that's how much money they made from that? $36 million for the company and themselves? I guess it's good to be the king, right? Little gouge away. Just saying. 1991. See, I'm going backwards, falling left and right. Ray Charles released his box set, The Birth of Soul, a 3D box set. It was released to critical acclaim, saying that it spanned a lot of time with Ray Charles, who was the epitome of the piano-playing singer. 1990, The Laws released their self-titled debut and final album. It was only released and ever got to the chart of number 30, but it was released to critical acclaim for this infamous 1960s kind of sound, as well as this sort of resurrection of the beginning of the 1990 Brit pop movement. the infamous sound of them was something that was reflective and present, both influence for the bands Oasis, Arctic Monkeys, and Fontaines DC. They all said that the Laws were part of the influence of their musical journey. If you remember the Laws, they had the song "There She Goes," very 60s sounding, sort of Brit pop. They had a couple other songs, but yeah, I remember the Laws. But yeah, it was just one album. That was it. I don't know whatever happened, why they only performed one. I didn't dig into that a little bit further, but 1991, Prince released his 13th album, Diamonds and Pearls. The single, Willing and Able, was used as a montage in the closing video ceremonies of Super Bowl 26. So Prince has had a couple of things with Super Bowls. In 1991, Public Enemy releases Apocalypse 91. The Enemy Strikes Back. It's their fourth and ranked number 2 by the Village Voice. Also, it had Bring on the Noise with Anthrax playing alongside them. Gotta love that. And as I did just see Public Enemy, they did a great show when they were at See Here Now Festival in Asbury Park. So if you do get a chance to see Public Enemy, I would highly recommend it. It was definitely worth the price of admission. They sounded fun and great. Lastly, 1984, U2 releases The Unforgettable Fire, their fourth album, following their 1983 release of the album War. It's a much harder, much grittier sound than their previous one. Unforgettable Fire had the song Pride in the Name of Love, as well as Bad, on the album. So there was not a lot of births on this day. I found that Julie Andrews from The Sound of Music was born this day, 90. Happy birthday to Julie Andrews, still kicking it. Jane Dornacher of The Tubes, born on this day. Walter Matthau of The Odd Couple and some other good movies, born on this day. Tom Bosley from Happy Days was born on this day. Randy Quaid, crazy Randy Quaid, born on this day from Christmas Vacation, Independence Day, a bunch of other stuff. But yes, Randy Quaid, woo, he definitely has gone sort of the direction, if you've paid any attention to Randy Quaid in the news. Christopher Titus, comedian and actor Christopher Titus, he came to the radio station a couple times when he did funny stuff, and we used to do the Funny Bone stuff on Friday mornings. Comedians always hated that because, you know, they're used to being out really late at night, and then they have to come do these radio interviews early in the morning. So we always got to see these comedians, you know, and we had a bunch of them coming over the years. You know, a lot of very famous ones, but man, they're always just like surly and just not in the, they were usually, you know, fine, but they were just like, I hate these things. It's the only time I can do them because we got to do morning shows when I sell tickets that night or this weekend for our shows. But man, it's early. I'm not used to this. I didn't get home till 3 o'clock in the morning, blah, blah, blah. But Christopher Tice was a very smart guy. I remember we actually sat down and had a very long conversation about Hurricane Katrina and sort of the aftermath and the thin veil of society, as society is what we know it to be when it comes to being civil. But I'll always remember the conversation. Very, very smart guy, had a lot of opinions on that. And then also on this day, Zal Galifianakis from The Hangover, Part 1, Part 2. Was it Two Ferns? It was the show Two Ferns I watched for a little bit, which is really funny. Galifianakis was kind of funny guy in that. The only people, well, we know that Jane Goodale died today. You know, Jane Goodale, I think she was 90 when she died. You know, she did all the stuff with apes and everything else. I saw Moby posted something about that with pictures of her. Again, Moby from Moby Dick. And then, you know, the guy, Stephen Paddock, died on this day by a self-inflicted gunshot wound. He was that guy that in 20, whatever, basically he was the Las Vegas shooter that was at the Mandalay Bay or wherever it was, that basically opened fire from his bedroom window in the hotel onto the country music down below, injuring like almost 800 people, like 400 plus from gunshots, and killed like 60. Like, largest mass shooting in history in the United States. So, yes, not something we really want to celebrate on the death of him, but I guess that's, you still have to remember these things. There's a lot of music connections to it. So, definitely have to think about that stuff. We got a lot of people that just, you know, don't kill with guns, people. That's how it goes. Anyway, sorry to bring you down on that note at the end. Thought I'd say that for the very end tonight. That's just one of those sheesh things. What are you going to do, right? So, October 1st. Holy crap. I can't believe it. All right, well, we're going to wind down 2025 as it winds us down, apparently. Thankfully, I'm not getting paid by the government, so I can continue to do that unpaid since I already am unpaid. So I'll just continue to do that. That's how it goes. Anyway, I'm just going to go to sleep. I don't think I'm going to hit the couch for a lot of TV tonight. I'm tired. It was a long, long day. We'll do this again tomorrow. It'll be October 2nd. It'll be episode 124. And I'll do this again, and hopefully we'll find some enlightenment when it comes to music and genre of music and things that are musically inclined for releases, events, and all that good stuff. So, happy Thursday. And I know it's Thursday because, why? Blue garbage cans. All right, so have yourself a wonderful Thursday. I'll look for everybody tomorrow night, and we'll do this all again, but completely different because it always is. Thank you. Have a great rest of your evening. And on that note, we will what? Push the button, FTB. Fade to black. And away we go. Bang zoom to the moon, Alice.